This is Sweet 16, where we watch the sweetest 16 minutes of gameplay and chat about what we're seeing. I'm Rad, and joining me from the ABC Gamer team is Dan.
Hello.
And Joe.
Hey.
Today we're looking at Destiny, the Witch Queen, as played and shown off to us by Joe. So, what do we got here, Joe? Give us the rundown on Destiny.
Alright, so here we've got the Psyops battleground, which is a 3-person match-made activity where you run through and you basically try and capture an alien so you can scan its brain for some reason.
It's a long, involved, complicated story of wizards and robots and...
No one understands the story. There's a giant ball that floats in the sky. It is apparently full of light, and it's kind of all anyone really knows.
Okay, so I have an immediate question here. Sorry to interrupt. Very quickly, why do you have a sword?
Well, this is actually one of the new weapons. It is called a glaive. It's like a whole new weapon archetype, which is like... It's got a gun in it, so it can do ranged, and it can also do strong melee attacks.
I'm sorry, how does a sword shoot?
It's got some kind of gun barrel in there somewhere.
But I'm looking at it, Joe. It doesn't look like it's got a gun barrel. It looks like a sword.
Well,
there's no barrel there.
It shoots stuff. Like, it's shooting...
It shoots energy.
Yep.
So I guess it doesn't need a barrel when it's shooting energy.
Could it be shooting this light, perhaps, that's inside this Traveler type ball? Because that's the ball you're referring to in the sky, unless they've changed that, right?
Yeah. That's the Traveler, is the ball.
Okay.
Okay, so what is Witch Queen?
So the Witch Queen is a character known as Savathun, who is like the queen of the hive. If I tried to explain much more, I would probably get it wrong.
See, this is what I'm talking about.
She has a worm, and the worm
As every good queen should.
talks to her, or it used to, but now it's dead. But now it started talking again. Maybe that's a spoiler.
Okay.
Maybe that's a spoiler. But the worm talks.
Lots of follow-ups here. Lots of follow-ups. So when I played this game, there was like 3 factions. Now how many are there? Are there still 3, or are there more now? Are there worms involved in some capacity?
There's still like the 3 main ones. So there's the Cabal, the Hive, the Fallen, and then there's like variations of that. So there was the Taken, which kind of took all of them. Also, sorry, there's also the Vex. I forgot about the Vex, with the robot guys. I think those are all the 4 of them. And yeah, there's variations of them now. There's the new variation in this one is the Lucent Hive. So these guys can actually use the light, and what you're seeing on screen is some of them. There's these little moths which are like light moths, and they will like basically give their characters a bit of a shield. You shoot that, they'll fly off and try and find another character to give a shield. But if you shoot them, then they blow up. And if you don't shoot them and there's no other characters to go to, they come to you and blow up in your face.
Okay, so I sense a little bit of perhaps sarcasm, perhaps disbelief in Dan's voice when he speaks about Destiny. Dan, what are your thoughts on this beautiful, beautiful game?
Look, I mean, let's credit where credit's due. Bungie are really good at making games that play well and look really good and like design, but man, their stories have always been so dumb. So dumb. And Destiny is just... It's so silly, and that's what I do enjoy how silly it is. But like, what's the witch's name? Savathun.
Savathun, yep.
Brilliant.
I mean,
that's just
Halo's
like
a great
Warhammer
story.
stuff.
Halo's a great story.
Well,
back to Destiny though. Let's not get into that. That's a discussion for another day. I think what Bungie does particularly well with their stories is hold back on stuff. They're good at building mystery and giving you a sense of I wonder what's going on there.
Yeah, they're building mystery because you just don't know what's going on.
Yeah,
well, it's just so confusing.
There's a skill to that.
I will say, like in vanilla Destiny 1, like the way it was telling its story and the kind of ambiguity as to like who the Guardians were and what the Traveler was and what the Tower was doing and all of that stuff, at least in vanilla Destiny, was very, very cool. But my thing is, right, okay, so I played vanilla Destiny, Joe. How complicated is it for me to get into Destiny now? Because I'm looking at this and this looks like a whole bunch of stuff that I don't know what is happening.
Well, I mean, I think one thing I will say, they've probably ruined the ability to just get in and understand the story. Especially over the last couple of years, they've started vaulting content. So you can't even play the original Destiny 2 campaign. There's some expansions, so you can't play a huge chunk of the story now, which I think is a very dumb decision. But that's just how it is. So if you wanna understand what's happening in the story, you probably have to go watch hours of YouTube videos.
So is there no way to play them? It's not even just like locked behind a paywall or something like that. It's just gone.
No, I mean it's to the point that people who've paid for the expansions can't play it. So
Wow, that's very interesting. So
content is just gone.
I'm looking at this, and this looks like a classic Destiny, like defend against a bunch of waves of like ever-growing, like more difficult enemies while you defend like a charging something. Is that basically what we're looking at?
So this is the Psyops battleground, which is the seasonal activity for the season. At the moment, we have to kill a sword-wielding hive guy that lets us attack the wizard and breaks their shield with the special sword.
Follow up. Where is the wizard from?
I think it's from the moon.
Interesting. So
I feel
Bungie's
like
good at their stories.
I feel like Dan is now just quizzing Joe's knowledge on Destiny. You're like, give me the names of every character that I'm seeing here. I want their names, their numbers, their addresses.
I'll readily admit that I am not an expert. I kind of it just happens in front of me, and I'm like, that's kind of cool.
What I find most frustrating about watching Joe play first-person shooters is he's just so much better than I'll ever be.
Yeah.
And it really just upsets me to watch.
I was going to say it's such a treat to get to watch what it's like to be Joe. Because, like, maybe I can just hold a controller for a second and pretend that this is me.
That's what I'll be doing later. I'm just going to put this on repeat on my TV. Yeah.
So yeah, here's the sword, and you can see it breaks the shield of that wizard.
From the moon.
Yeah, I know you're scoffing, Rad, but
no, I love it.
These are important things. So, and that wizard is a light wielding wizard, so we have to crush its ghost, or else it can respawn.
Of course.
Yeah,
this
obviously.
is what I mean. Like,
obviously.
This game looks so good. Like, look at that. That looks amazing. But man,
yeah.
I love it because I am not someone that can follow a story anyway, even when it's quote unquote straightforward. So if you're just giving me like pretty lights, great graphics, and all I need to do is like enjoy the gameplay and the story's silly either way, I'm into it. I love it. If nobody else can follow the story, then we're all on equal footing.
Totally, I agree. Like, you don't need amazing story to make a good video game. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, Elden Ring is great, Dark Souls is great, the way it hides away, it's silly story. But the thing that worries me about Destiny 2 is what Joe was saying before, is like, for me, looking at this now, it looks like there's just way too much here for me to easily be onboarded into this. If I didn't care about the story, Joe, do you think I could pick up and play like Destiny 2 where it's currently
100%. And I mean, as we're kind of joking around, like the story is kind of just it's a vibe, it's a vehicle for the action, right? You can just pick up a gun, get in. Like this will automatically bring you to the level you need to be to join in all this content. So there's no reason you can't just jump in, start having fun, and enjoying the systems. It can be very confusing. There are still so many currencies, playlists, activities, how things interact with each other is just like it does my head in. Every time I jump back in after taking a break, I just go, wait, where am I? What am I doing?
Fell down a hole there, mate. What happened there? Pretty embarrassing.
I fell down a hole. I swear a good 50 to 60% of my deaths in Destiny are just falling down holes. I didn't even know that hole was there. Just fell down. But yeah, that's what Bungie does so well, and I think to
holes.
Destiny's credit is holes. They do holes pretty well. To Destiny's credit, it was such a rough initial offering. There was so little there, and people were just like, "What is this? Isn't what we kind of wanted. This isn't what we expected. The story's rubbish." But because it was so mechanically strong, it just had such legs. It could keep going.
That is true, and that's why I played so much of like vanilla Destiny. I played that game to death, and it was just those same sort of 10 missions and like raid. But oh man, it was great.
So who's this big fella you're going after now?
So that person or thing that just got vanquished was so we're in someone's mind at the moment. Just so we've got that clear, we've jumped into someone's mind because we have to capture them and scan their mind for some reason. I don't know. Yeah. So that was a ghost or an image of Savathun, and we've got to pick up these light spears to do damage to the image of Savathun.
I just love to think about a group of people in an office thinking about this and writing it on a whiteboard, and they're like, Savathun, Light Spear, Mind Picture, question mark?
Well, what I'm astounded by is how much Joe actually has picked up. Like, we're asking questions and he's answering them, and none of it makes sense.
No, it's all gibberish.
He's got the answers.
Yeah.
Yeah. It could all be lies. Joe's made all this up.
Well,
If that's the case, Joe should write video games, because
yeah,
honestly...
he's done it.
The internet will call me out, no doubt. I've got so many things wrong, probably, but I'm doing my best here. There's a lot. So
Look,
there's
the
an image of
point is,
Savathun, and I will
it
be throwing
sounds
spears at her,
believable.
and that'll
right.
kill her. And then once
Okay.
she's dead, the person whose mind we're inside, who is a lieutenant for the Hive, for the Lucent Hive, who you'll see can actually use the light powers. He's like throwing solar abilities at me. I forget what the solar ability is called, but he's using the light against me, which is a whole new. It's a whole thing.
I will say, all of the numbers and stuff that come up, it gives me the same sort of dense, confusing feeling that I get when I play WoW.
Yeah, I mean, it is very much that.
I was never a fan of the damage counters, but I've really come around to them in the last maybe 5 years of video games. There's something very satisfying about seeing a bigger number jump off the top of like the exact same enemy's head like as you get higher.
I feel like it doesn't matter when there's this much going on. It just adds too much to me.
Yeah, no one's using that as a stat, especially in like this kind of PvE stuff, right? Or Joe, do you pay attention to your damage output?
Not in something like this, because this is quite a sort of low-level, fun, casual. This isn't actually a very sweaty experience. We can't wipe. We could all die, and we just keep trying. It's fine. But when you're doing the high-level stuff like raids, and you're trying to get, quick downs on bosses, everyone will focus on the numbers, and there'll be a whole meta based around what weapons are actually making those numbers pop off the best.
Right. Is this so? At this point, you've vanquished the picture and are now opening a clam.
Yeah,
Opening their
for some
mind.
We got
delicious
out of the
oysters.
mind. We've won,
Doing a
and now
dance.
I'll get a piece of loot for all that effort. I think a new shirt. Yeah, I got a new shirt for that. Or a chest
not
piece.
to break down the behind the scenes of how this is made, but Joe's not playing this live, and I wish you were, so that I could make you do that dance again, because that dance was hilarious. It was amazing.
So that is 16 minutes of Destiny the Witch Queen. Did it convince you that Destiny is worth your time again, Dan? Maybe not so silly as you once thought.
It's definitely still as silly as like I've ever thought, but there's something about it. Hey, like I like this idea of sword guns, and like it looks so good. Like visually, it looks so good. Like maybe I will jump in, because it's also and the idea that I can jump in now and be at a level I don't have to spend time grinding through 4 years of content is actually quite appealing to me.
I
So,
do have
maybe.
to point out that Dan was pretty down on this whole thing before we started. He was making all sorts of jokes about Wizards from the Moon. He was saying that it was too much, too silly, and he didn't want a bar of it. Look how you've changed your tune.
I know. I like a good bit of shooty bangs, especially if it's against aliens. So
I
fun.
think it's literally just because you saw Joe play, and now you have it in your head that maybe you'll be that good if you jump in.
Do you know what? That's it. You've tricked me, Joe. Tricked me again.
You'll feel that good at least. Destiny has that power fantasy. You're flinging magic bombs and stuff, and you've got your sword guns. You feel like a badass. That's what it's all about.
Okay. All right. Oh, well, maybe I'll pick it up.
And also, just quickly for the audience, Joe, how many hours have you put into Destiny?
Like the entire franchise or Destiny 2?
Yeah. Give us both stats if you got them.
Well, I think it's about 1,000 between each game.
Are you kidding? Okay, well, I can't play this game then. There's no way I'm going to be that good. Are you joking?
Honestly,
My God.
there are Destiny diehards who are probably just going, yeah, all right, whatever. That's
Oh
I
my
do that on
God.
a weekend.
Mate.
Somehow they find the time.
Wow.
Look, Joe, you just built different. Thank you for sharing what it's like to be a real pro with us.
Oh, you're welcome.
I can only dream. And what did you guys think? Do you think that you can do better? Can you beat Joe's 1,000 hours in Destiny? Hey, if you've played more than 1,000 hours of Destiny, or any game really, I want to hear about it. Let us know in the comments, and check out some of the other stuff that we've got going on ABC Gamer, and get involved. See you next time.